You don't need Netflix, you don't need cable. Hop on YouTube, welcome to the hood table, where we chop up local and global events vocally. You don't really wanna miss out on these conversations. Just joke a little, laugh a little, get that wine in your system, fill your glass a little. Expose current events, talk trash a little. You never know, these opinions might clash a little. They addicted to the content, got them binge watching. You don't like it, then you want invited. Bet your friends watching in the house and your job parking lot before you clock in. They don't wanna miss a second of this HT content. Everybody think they got something to say, so it's an open invitation, bring it to the table. But if you come whack, just know we ain't buying in. We gon' probably turn your back until you sorry, try again, Yeah, welcome to the hood table. You don't need Netflix, you don't need cable. Yeah, welcome to the hood table. You don't need Netflix, you don't need cable.
Good morning and happy Saturday. Let me turn off one of these lights. Happy Saturday, the Hood Table Squad, and to my Primetime TV squad. I hope everybody is having a wonderful weekend and everybody had a wonderful Valentine's Day. As you can see by the title of the video, and for those who's coming in, please make sure you like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed to the channel. I'm going to be giving my thoughts on my experience on the Joshua Keadle murder trial for the murder of Tyler Thomas. And I have the phone lines open for anybody who wants to call in. I got the phone lines open. I know several people who attended the trial or were actually part of the family. I know that they received a notification that I'm going live this morning. So if anybody feels free, again, if you would like the link to join the live and discuss it live with me, or if you want to call in to the call-in line and discuss it live with me, or anybody in general, any of the viewers or anything, feel free. What I'm going to do, first of all, is, let's see. Excuse me. First of all, I'm going to go to the site where it was where we heard the everybody in the public saw the guilty verdict, because that's mainly, they didn't show a lot from as far as the newscast from the scene of the trial. Each day when the news came on, they just show little bits and clips of everything of the trial, but they did show the coverage of when he was found guilty. So I want you guys to be able to see that.
Impaneled and sworn in above entitled cause to find and defend Joshua Wayne Keadle guilty of the lesser included offense of murder in the second degree, dated this 13th day of February 2020, signed by the presiding juror.
Thank you, Mr. Presiding Juror. Is that the jury's verdict? Mrs. Wells, would you please poll the jury?
Christy Bruner is the verdict, so read your verdict. Jeffrey Cass is the verdict, read your verdict. Nicole Lefferdink is the verdict, read your verdict. Casey Lean is the verdict, read your verdict. Cynthia Lillibridge is the verdict, read your verdict. Denise Miller is the verdict, read your verdict. Michael Mortis is the verdict, read your verdict. Haley Newman is the verdict, read your verdict. Carol Altman is the jury verdict, read your verdict. Stacy Plessel is the verdict, read your verdict. Shireen Swaniger is the verdict, read your verdict. Lisa Wallman is the verdict, read your verdict.
Thank you. The court accepts the verdict.
Okay, you guys, as you can see, It was very emotional after they read the verdict of guilty. We had wanted to get, a guilty plea, but hopefully, a first degree, guilty of first degree murder. But we did get second degree murder, and he's facing up to life. He's facing up to life, and I'm sorry I'm sniffling because I actually have a cold. I have a little cold that I, for some reason, just caught this morning. But I'm just going to show you the clip of right after the trial. I went live from out of town where the trial was, and I just want to show you that clip real quick of outside the trial. Literally, the trial had just finished, and I had went live, and I just want to show you guys this real quick. TV squad and also the Hood Table squad. I am coming at you live in Beatrice, Nebraska at the Gage County District Court. The trial of the disappearance of Tyler Ty Thomas. We are coming to you live to let you know that after the jury deliberation of 7 hours, the jury has came to the conclusion that they have determined that Joshua Keadle is indeed guilty of Tyler Thomas's murder from 2010. Now, we did want and, pray for first degree murder. They gave us the lesser. Second degree murder charge is what he has received. And so he is facing basically 20 years to life. Now, for y'all who've been following this case with me and who has been tuning in to my The Hood Table YouTube channel, following this case and watching my reviews, you know that Tyler Ty Thomas disappeared the night of December 3rd, 2010. And ever since then, the family and friends were basically sure that Joshua Keadle was guilty of murdering their daughter, and so was investigators and the police. After years and years of waiting, the trial finally took off a few weeks ago, and we've been praying for first degree murder. The judge gave them the option of first degree, second degree, manslaughter, involuntary manslaughter, voluntary manslaughter, and again, of course, we were praying for first degree murder. We got second degree murder. 20 years to life is what he is facing right now. The next court date for the decision, the judge for the sentencing will be April 29th, 1:30 p.m. We'll be back here behind me at the Gage County District Court in Beatrice, Nebraska. We're, of course, hoping for the maximum sentence. If you've been following this case again with me, he has a lot of things on his rap sheet, a lot of things that he has done. He's already in prison. The main reason why we were praying and hoping that he would get found guilty was because of the fact that he's serving right now 10 to 15 years in prison right now for sexual assault against a 15-year-old girl. He was coming up to the time where he could be shortly released. So it was very, very important for the jury to come to this decision to find him guilty so he won't be released back onto the streets. That was granted today. The family, the friends of Tyler Ty Thomas was ecstatic, overcome with so much emotions. It was very, very emotional. It just feels really good right now. It feels really good right now for them to get what they have been wanting, which was basically justice for the disappearance and murder for their child, Tyler Ty Thomas, from December 3rd, 2010. Again, this is Tanya coming at you live, my The Hood Table family and Tanya's Primetime TV family. If you have not been following this case or need more detailed information, check out the videos on my YouTube channel to find out what all happened and what's been going on since the disappearance of Tyler in 2010 up to now, to the guilty of second degree murder charge. Now, Primetime Squad and the Hood Table Squad, we're going to make our way back to Omaha, Nebraska from Beatrice, Nebraska. We'll be back down here April 29th of 2010, 1:30 p.m. to find out what he will be sentenced. And again, we're hoping that he never touches the streets again. In the meantime, in between time, as usual, Primetime Squad and the Hood Table Squad, I'm out. Deuces. I am still so very, very, very happy about the outcome of the murder trial. That was 2.5 weeks. I mean, I never actually attended a murder trial before, so I don't know how long, the normal time frame is of a murder trial. So this was my first time sitting through a trial of this magnitude. Okay, I'm back. So now I was just saying before it bleeped out, I can now turn the green screen back on so you can see the pictures of the two people that most of my videos and reviews has been about over the last few weeks. Tyler Ty Thomas is the young lady up above, and over here is the guy who was charged for her murder. And the man, the first I want to say, I have been following this story ever since 2010. Ever since the night of her disappearance, I can vividly recall every day, all throughout the day, different websites, different TV news stories, blogs. I mean, it was out there, like this young Black college student from Peru, Nebraska, just disappeared, just vanished. And she was from my hometown, from Omaha, Nebraska. So I've been following this ever since then. And I kept praying like every day, like, oh my God, I hope she comes up. I hope she's come up. I hope she's just somewhere kicking it with somebody or taking a break from, it is college, how college life can be. I'm hoping she's just taking a break somewhere. She's going to turn back up, or, maybe she don't know people looking for her. You just kind of hope. And in those stories of disappearance, when people disappear, whether it's a child or whether it's a grown up, they family and friends, sometimes they be reluctant about going to the media or having the media speak to them. But, in a sort of way, they're hoping, like, if we do speak to media, if we do talk to the public, maybe our loved one will happen to see this. And if they are just off somewhere, just trying to seclude themselves from the world or for whatever reason, or even if something happened to them, like they did get abducted or anything like that, maybe they'll see that and they'll be like, try to fight harder, or try to get away, or try to come home, or at least call and be like, I'm okay, I'm all right, I'm fine. That never happened. And so from then on, it was in the public, like really, really, on a big scale, on a major scale. And then it kind of like died down. And, it wasn't in the public, in the media as much. The investigators were still working on the case. They were still trying to come up with, enough witnesses, enough proof, enough evidence, that they, can present to the court. They couldn't really present it to the court without, enough. They had to make sure their case was strong enough, to get the verdict that they want. And then on top of that, when it comes to a missing person who you believe is dead or has been murdered by somebody, if the body's not there, the investigators, the police, the FBI, they can't legally say this person is dead. They can't legally say. Some years has to go by before they can legally say. You can think all you want that somebody's dead, but for them to legally say that they, that we believe this person is, dead, they have to wait to that certain time frame. After that certain time frame is also when they can charge somebody with murder. So they could have believed for all those years that guy over here, Joshua Keadle, actually did murder Tyler Ty Thomas. But, being they didn't have a body, and they really wanted to charge him for murder, they couldn't really charge him for murder until that time frame passed by law legally, where they can say, okay, this person has been missing for so many years. Now we can legally say that person we believe is officially dead. That's when they can, make death certificates, all that kind of stuff, And also, if they wanted to charge somebody with an actual murder, they can then do that. So a lot of people was asking, since 2010, why this guy was in charge with murder, earlier, before last year. But again, as I just mentioned, they have to wait a certain amount of time to legally declare that they believe somebody is dead. So that's the reason why this guy was in charge, during 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, he was in charge because they had to wait till that time frame pass. Now, in the meantime, during the time where Tyler was still missing, this guy, Joshua Keadle, he had actually been arrested and charged with sexual assault on a 15-year-old girl. A 15-year-old girl, although she should not have been drinking, she was drinking. She went in her room. She went to sleep. She woke up and Joshua Keadle was having sex with her. She didn't report it, right then because she was 15 years old. She was drinking. Y'all know how it is. A lot of victims don't report crimes right away. But later down the line, when she heard that there was a young girl missing that was last seen by Joshua Keadle, and when she heard that that young girl had also been drinking that night, she was like, oh my God, I can't keep silent no longer. I have to let them know what happened to me and him. So she called, she notified the authorities, she filed charges. He went to trial. They determined he was guilty of sexual assault of a 15-year-old child. By the time the girl had actually came forward, though, she was 18 years old. So at that time, when she was 18, he was charged with sexual assault, and he was found guilty of sexual assault of a 15-year-old, and he was sentenced to 10 to 15 years in prison. So by the time they actually was able to file charges on him for the murder of Tyler Thomas, that time had already passed. He was also in jail already for sexual assault. And when they determined that they could charge him for murder and they set the trial date and everything, like last year, they had let us know they charged him with murder. Then, a little while back, we found out when the trial was going to actually start, which was 2 weeks ago. Well, now like 3 weeks ago. And he was still in jail, still in prison. So what they had to do, because he was in Fremont, so they had to bring him to Peru. Beatrice, because the disappearance of Tyler and the at that time the alleged murder, a lot of us knew she was murdered, but you know how the media goes. The alleged murder had took place in Peru. But because of the courthouse size, and because of all the publicity that all was already there, you know how sometimes where something happens, if it's a lot of publicity from the public has already seen, and they move the trials to like the nearest city, sometimes when that happens. So they moved the trial to Beatrice, Nebraska, which is Gage County. And that's where the trial took place. And that's, for the last 3 weeks, we were listening to testimonies after testimony, witnesses, looking at evidence, pictures, listening to audio recording of like his interviews early on in the investigation. And during that time, I was giving reviews on my YouTube channel, on this channel. And every day I was, giving you either a review on what's going on in the media, or, what's going on actually in the court, or I was taking notes while in court, and then coming home after a long day in court, and after like 8-10 pages of notes, rushing home, typing up as fast as I can all my chicken scratch, because when you're not per se in the media, working for the news crew, and you don't have a press pass to record everything, you have to take notes by hand. So I would be taking notes every time in court and trying to write as legible as I can, which is kind of hard when you have to write super fast to try to catch every word that everybody is saying. So I would come home, I would type up all my notes and stuff where I can legibly read it to come to you guys and give you a live review of what was going on in court. And it was really, really a difficult time for Ty's family. I seen them break down many times throughout the last 3 weeks. You know, but our community, I really love where I'm from. I really love where I'm from. Omaha, Nebraska. I know there's been a lot of negative things in our history in Omaha, Nebraska, from back in the day when gangs was taking over the city and drugs, and to even now, there's good and positive things about every city. But when something really is going on, really important in our city, we really stand up for each other. And at the beginning of the trial, when we found out it was going to be like a 3-week trial, and when we found out the trial was going to be out of town, some of us got together and we were like, okay, it would be a great idea to, raise some money for the family, because it's already hard enough going through this trial and listening to all these witnesses and testimonies and sitting there all day for 8-9 hours on the bench, listening to people talk about your daughter, talk about good things about her, talk about really negative things about her. When it comes to the prosecutors, and I'll get into that later. But they tried to tarnish her image so bad. I mean, so bad. And so, just imagine listening to that every day, listening to somebody try to destroy your child's image, and you have to sit there, you have to listen to it, and you can't say anything. All you can do is listen to it. And so when we found out that the trial was going to be out of town, hours away, some people in the community, they decided to raise money, to help make it a little bit easier on a family financially, so that they don't have to like we do, when we covering stories and, down there to support the family or whatnot. We didn't stay. We drove down there and we came back, drove down there and came back. But the family, they wanted to, stay down there, for the week, throughout the week, instead of driving back up here, every day, driving back and forth every day. So, I think over, I want to say between 2,000 and 2,500. I think that's how much was raised. If it was more, somebody who knows, feel free to put it in the chat. But it was enough for them to pay for lodging. They had a nice hotel down there. It was enough to help buy food while they're down there, because when you stand in the hotel, you might get breakfast and some snacks at the hotel, but, they had to eat. They had to buy things that they didn't have at home, their necessities, that they didn't have, they could just run home and get. And, it really helped them, and they appreciated it. I posted some of the thank you posts from Tyler's mom, on the Hood Table Facebook page. They were very, very, very appreciative. And we of course, we wanted to do that. We felt it was necessary, to do that. A lot of our community has been waiting since 2010 to find out what happened to Ty. And the reason why every time something came up from 2010 up until now, something came up, whether it was evidence, whether it was they decided to charge him, when he was charged for sexual assault on the 15-year-old, when he was sentenced for that sexual assault, when, every step of the way, I was following that and doing, commentary on it, and always kind of like praying that one day he will be charged with murder. I always, from 2010, in my heart, a lot of people might have had a little like doubt, but I, in my heart, knew all along that he killed that young, beautiful college student from my hometown. I knew that in my heart of hearts, to the bottom of my soul, that he did it. And listening for almost 3 weeks of testimonies and witnesses, it never changed. It never changed. And I talked to some people over the past few weeks. And don't think I'm crying. As I said in the beginning, I have a cold, I have a sniffle, so I'm trying not to sniffle all loud in front of you guys, trying to control it. But some people over the last few weeks have had doubts. People would inbox me, call me, text me, or ask me in person, how do you feel? What do you think's going to happen? Do you think he did it? Do you not think he did it? Well, what about this? Well, what about the prosecutor saying this? Or what about this picture they showed? Or what about... And I'm up here like, he did it. He did it. And people would come at me like, people would come at me and say, I don't know. Well, why would you think that? And why would you think, but this, and I'm like, the whole time. I mean, if anybody's watching who has spoken to me over the past 3 weeks, you can drop down in the chat or ask for the link and I can bring you in on the live stream, or you can call the phone number. Matter of fact, let me post the phone number. There's a phone number if you want to call in. But I have never once said, I think they'll find him innocent. Never once. My thing was, what exactly are they going to charge him with? And then listen to the prosecutors just over and over. There's nobody. You cannot convict this man for being a jerk, for leaving her down there. You cannot convict him for being an asshole, for having bad judgment, and I'm like, are y'all real? I would come home so angry at the prosecutors, because in my mind, being that I know and believe that he's truly guilty, this whole time, I believe he was truly guilty, and I believe that he was going to be found guilty in my mind. And that's what I spoke to everybody who asked me about it. He's going to be found guilty. I mean, there's no way that the jury can walk away from this trial and be like, oh, he didn't do it because there's nobody. There's no way. I mean, there's been lots of convictions over the years for murder charges with nobody. And I thought this was just going to be another one in the books. That's how I felt the entire time. Now, when the prosecutors would say stuff like, for those of y'all who hasn't been following, I'm going to just give you a really brief summary. Because I done got into this so many times over the last few weeks and last year and, But anyway, Ty Thomas, she was drunk the night of her disappearance, like a lot of other people on college. So I'm not shading her. Because like a lot of kids in college, they drink and party on the weekends, even if they ain't old enough, and they still do it to this day. They done always done it since the beginning of time. So no shade on her. But she was drinking. Other people was drinking. She was intoxicated. She got in a fight with one of her best friends. She wanted to come back to Omaha, come back home to her hometown where we are in Omaha. And she wanted somebody to take her, but she couldn't find nobody to take her. That night, Joshua Keadle, this guy right here, he was on his way from the party with some friends and about to go to one of his friends' house to get high on some weed. Whew. And on the way to driving where they was going to smoke weed, they saw Ty walking. He ends up going to the house where they're supposed to smoke weed. He dropped his friends off, and they say he just peeled out. He just sped off. He didn't say nothing. He was just like, be back, and they was like, where he going? We just copped some weed. We was about to go roll up some blunts to go hit a bong or whatever, and he just peeled off. He claimed that when he drove off, he saw Ty walking around, and when Ty saw him, she took off running to him and jumped in his truck and said, please take me to Omaha. This is his story. So follow me. He told her, I'm not taking you to Omaha. I'm about to go to the river, to the Missouri River, and smoke some weed. And so she's begging him the entire time, please take me to Omaha. Please take me to Omaha. This is his story. And he says that he asked her, did she have some money for gas? And he claimed that she didn't. So he claims he told her, no, I'm not taking you to Omaha. And so he continues driving, goes down to the Missouri River. He claims he pulled up to the boat dock, to the river's edge, turned his truck around, SUV, turned his truck around so the back of the truck was facing the water. The back of the truck was facing the water. And as we was looking at the pictures during the court trial, it was literally like 10, 15 feet away from the water. That's like the average person's height. That's like two people's height, away from the water. And he claims he got out of his car, walked to the back of the car, started smoking his weed, and had a thought like, I'm not taking this girl to Omaha. I'm not taking her. I'm gonna tell her I'm not taking her to Omaha. She gonna be mad, whatever. He tells her, because she's in the car still, and she's he said she was playing with her phone. And he tells her, I'm not taking you to Omaha, you gotta come back with me to the dorm or whatever. This is his story. He claims she got out of the car, she was cussing him out, yelling at him, all this kind of stuff. But before all that, the part that just didn't add up for me, and of course, as we know by now, it didn't add up to the jury either. When they first got to the boat dock, he claimed his story was he told her he's not taking her to Omaha. She wanted him to. She didn't have any gas money. He said no. He claims that she said, I will have sex with you if you take me to Omaha. He claims that she also said, it would have to wait though, because I'm on my period. He claims that he said, well, you might be on your period, but there's other things that you can do. And we all know he meant a blowjob. He claims that she said, I don't know how to give a blowjob, but I can jack you off, give you a hand job. That's what he's claiming. He claimed she gave him a hand job, and she said, please don't get anything on me, on me. He claims he told her, I won't get anything on you. I have these brown paper towels. Can y'all see this? Brown paper towels that he keeps in his car, from like the gas station, a restaurant, fast food. They have brown paper towels. He claims he had a stash of them in the middle console of his car. He claims that he did, in fact, use those paper towels when he finished, after she finished giving him a hand job. He claimed that he threw the paper towels out the car. Then he claimed that after that, he got out the car, started smoking his weed, told her he wasn't taking her. She gets out the car, and sorry, I'm sniffling. Again, I have a cold. Forgive me. But he claimed he got out the car. She then got out. She was yelling and screaming at him, talking about, why you playing with me? Quit playing with me. I just told you. He claims that she said, I will have sex with you if you take me to Omaha. It worked all the way down to just a hand job, though. So I don't know if that's really why he changed his mind and didn't take her to Omaha, or if he really, 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 really wasn't intending to take her to Omaha at all. Obviously, he wasn't. That's what I was thinking in the beginning. Like, did he really intend to take her if she would have had sex with him willingly? But no. That quickly left my mind. That escaped my mind. Like, there's no way, after listening to all the testimonies and all the witnesses claim how much she could not stand him, how much he didn't like her. Like, I told somebody, during this trial, there was a particular guy in high school me and him had like the same type of relationship as Ty and Joshua Keadle. We would see each other hard automatically. I'm like, ugh, what is you looking at? Ugh, get away from me. Ugh. And he'd be like, man, forget you, whatever. We would be cussing each other out, all kind of stuff. But we never hit each other. We never fought. He never put his hands on me or anything like that. It was just like a mutual, we just couldn't stand each other. And so there is no way. If I felt that bad, those thoughts about that guy, and I needed a ride somewhere, that I would have said to him, I will have sex with you if you take me here or take me there. No way. And I knew that was Ty's thoughts as well. I knew that. That was her thoughts as well. There's no way she would have told him, I'm going to have sex with you if you take me back to Omaha. I knew that in my heart. There's no way. Just as a woman, us having a disdain for a particular man or a boy, we wouldn't just have sex with him just for something like that, like a ride. No, not if anything. So I knew that part was a lie that he was telling. I just knew that. And so then he claimed that she kept arguing with him. She got mad. She came at him, swinging at him. And he claims he was like, I'm not taking you. Get in the car so we could go back to the dorms. And he claimed that she then threw her phone at him. And when they asked him, well, where's the phone? Where's the phone? He said he looked back when she threw it and he didn't see the phone. I knew that was a lie too. Hold on, let me blow. Okay, so what was I at? Okay, he claimed she threw the phone and he turned around, he could find. I knew that was a lie. Why I knew that was a lie was because of the simple fact. When they tracked his phone and her phone, they tracked his phone and found out, that he was in certain areas that night. And also, before they even done that, they threatened him after, he continued to lie, interview after interview with different investigators, different police. He continued to lie, saying he wasn't with her, he didn't see her, that night, and blah, 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 blah. And then, after they said, we can track your phone, we can track her phone, that's when he was like, okay, I was with her that night, we went here, this happened, but he claims, but I left her at the river because she refused to get in the car because she was upset that I wouldn't take her to Omaha. So she refused to get a car. But what made me really believe that he was lying, besides everything else, was when we heard about the phone calls and about the text messages and how she had texted several of her friends, like 3-4 people back to back while she's intoxicated, texting these messages. Mind you, she couldn't even work her phone that night. He even said that she was having problems with her phone and she asked him to unlock her phone. So he unlocked her phone for her. Being that he had the password to her phone, I had a feeling that Ty didn't make all those text messages by herself. She had gave him the phone to open it, to unlock it. I believed in my heart that he killed her at the river. He tossed her in the river after he raped her. Just like he raped that 15-year-old girl that he got 10 to 15 years for. I believe he had raped her. I believe he had threw her in the river and that he discarded her phone. But before he discarded her phone, I believe that he was sending out text messages to the people in her phone because all the text messages was exactly the same. I'm lost and I'm trying to find myself. 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 All those text messages to different people back to back to back. No phone calls saying, come get me. I'm at the river. I want to go to Omaha. Although she had got into it with some of her friends, like her bestie that night, they had got into an argument or whatever. If you really lost, you far away from home, you at a river, it's cold, it's December. Remember, she didn't have no coat on. She had a coat. She had jeans and a shirt. And nothing else. No scarf, no gloves, no coat, no hat. All she had was jeans and a shirt on. So all you're going to do is text people, I'm lost, I'm trying to find myself in the middle of the night, and he claims he just left her there at the river. He don't know where the phone at. The investigators still couldn't find the phone. After it was all over with, they still couldn't find the phone. Phone has never been found. Never been found. So, the prosecutors, this is the prosecutors, their case was basically, we believe he took her out there. We believe he did something to her, raped her, did something, tried to have sex with her. And the reason why they mainly believe that, the prosecutors and myself and her family and, other people, the reason why we believe that was because of the fact that he said that Ty had told him, if you don't take me to Omaha, I'm going to say that you tried to rape me. Now, just logically speaking, let's think just logically. Logically, ladies, have you ever told a man that you were going to tell somebody that they try to rape you if they didn't do anything you want? Like take them to the store or drive them to the mall or loan you some money? Or, have you ever went that far as to say, I'm going to tell somebody you raped me? I didn't believe that part. What I believe from the beginning, from way back in 2010, on the night of December 3rd, 2010, when she first disappeared, when we found out that he had took her to the river, I believed in my heart. This was years before he was found guilty of sexual assault on a 15-year-old girl that he was sentenced 10 to 15 years for. So way before that happened, I believe that he had took that girl down to the river. I believe that he had raped her. I believe that he had threw her in the river. That's what I believed all along. That's what I believe. So when it came time for the trial and everything, we're listening to the prosecutors give their closing arguments, which was basically he was the last one to see her. He took her down there. He never intended for her to come back to the dorm or go to Omaha. He did something to her and he murdered her, threw her in the Missouri River. And that's why she's never been seen again. And then on top of that, he lying for like 3 days afterwards to investigators and to police that he wasn't there with her. And all that time, her body's in the river. The river flows south. Her body, ain't no telling how many miles it flows. Because I think the Missouri goes into the Mississippi. I think. I'm not 100%. But it goes into somewhere. And I believe that that's what happened. That he put her in the Missouri River and used all that time beforehand to lie and cover it up and mislead investigators. When they were looking for Ty, he never told them anything about the river. Not her friends who came up to him. Have you seen Ty? Not to the investigators. Have you seen Ty? Nobody. All that time, if he would have said right away, Ty is at the river. If he would have called somebody that night and said, come get your cousin, because her cousin was one of the people who went to Peru with her, who was looking for her. He could have called anybody because he had their phone numbers. He could have called them and said, come get Ty. She's mad because I won't take her to Omaha. She's threatened to say I raped her. And the thing about it was, like a lot of people said, if she did threaten to rape you and you know you didn't, the first thing they gonna do is take her to the hospital and do a rape kit. If they don't find no DNA, no evidence, no hairs, no fiber, no nothing from you on her or in her, you good. You good. I mean, if it just literally happened, she has nowhere to shower. Unless y'all go jump in the Missouri River and bathe. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get this hair out of my face. But you have nowhere to shower. So if the police would have came to the river, they would have took her immediately to the hospital. They would have took you to jail. And once they did their little evidence and everything, she would have been charged with most likely lying, false claims. And you would have been good. You would have been good. But no, he claims he left her there after she threatened to call the police on her and say he was going to rape her. So it just wasn't adding up. It just wasn't adding up. Now, again, some people was like, oh, the jury's probably not going to find him guilty because there's no body. and blah blah blah. But I knew again in my heart, that they was going to find him guilty. It doesn't have to be a body when they truly think they have enough evidence to even charge you. It doesn't have to be a body to get a guilty verdict. And I'm so glad. Again, I'm so glad that the family and friends of Ty got exactly what they wanted, which was a guilty verdict. He was found totally guilty. I knew in my heart from the beginning, from when she first went missing in December 3rd, 2010, that he had did it. When I heard all those, his testimony or his story of what happened, I knew he did it. I always felt that way. So I like during this trial, I don't think I ever did as much praying as I have before. And I was praying not just for him to be found guilty, but praying for the comfort of her family. I couldn't imagine going through what her mom and dad and brothers and grandparents was going through. And then to hear the prosecutors just try to tarnish and blemish Ty's name and her image. Like, they were saying stuff like, now it was said that Ty was pregnant, like 3 months pregnant in September. So around December, that would have been like 5 months pregnant in December. And that they were saying that she was having sex with 3 different guys. She had told this person that was the baby daddy, this person that was the baby daddy. And one of the guys who was, alleged to be her baby's father or even fiance, he testified, he like, we didn't even really have a relationship. We weren't engaged. It wasn't even that type of thing. And so the prosecutors tried to make it seem like he was lying and trying to make it seem like she was suicidal. She was depressed, pregnant in college, dating these different guys, maybe don't know who her baby daddy is. They was trying to make her seem just out there. They was really trying to tarnish her image. And they might didn't say it, but I know they was trying to make her seem like she was loose and she was just wild and she was just, just doing whatever she wanted with whoever she wanted. They was really trying to blemish her image. But through all that, I can see through all that. I mean, of course, the defense, they're going to say anything they have to make the jury believe what they want them to believe. But the whole time I was saying during the trial was, the people who are defending Joshua Keadle, I would love to talk to them after this trial is over. I would love to know if they really thought he did it or if they really thought he was innocent. Because compared to all the prosecutors, all the evidence they had, all the witnesses, all the testimonies, compared to the story they gave, like, basically, the leading attorney for the prosecutors, I gave him a big old hug after the guilty verdict. I gave him a big old hug. We was all crying. The family, myself, the lawyers, the attorneys, the everybody was in tears. The prosecuting attorney, the head prosecuting attorney, I gave him a big hug. I said, whew, I can kiss you right now. Because from the beginning of the trial, he was doing a good job. He's one of those attorneys where he wasn't real vocal, he wasn't real loud, he wasn't real I don't know what to call it. He was like really chill. And even his voice was all monotone. And sometimes listening to him, I'll be like, dang, could you like show a little bit more emotion? That's how I was thinking, like, seriously. And other people were too. The defense attorney, he was more vocal, he was more animated, and he was louder, and he was, and then the prosecuting attorney was like, yeah, and what this say, and that's the pictures. And then the other one, the defense attorney's like, and you have to be, it was like two totally different two totally different attorney lawyers all together. It was really crazy because we was like, well, maybe the prosecuting attorney needs to act more like this one. Maybe he can get more to the jury, if he act a little more outgoing and animated, and maybe if he did any of that. But he didn't. He didn't. The whole time he was the same way. He was the same way, just like kind of laid back and chill. Just we was like, this man. But I'm telling you, when it came time to give the closing arguments, I fell in love. I was like, oh my God. And I didn't watch a lot of court shows, a lot of documentaries, a lot of TV court police shows, reality shows, all of them. I didn't watch all of them because I love crime shows. I love them. When it was time for him to give his closing arguments, he slayed it. He slayed it. And it was still his chill, laid back, totally monotone voice. I mean, he slayed it. And then the defense, they came and they gave their closing statements. And basically, they told the jury, basically, he took her down to the river. She was depressed, because they already tarnished her name and tried to destroy her image through the trial. So by that time, when they giving their closing arguments, she was depressed, she was stressed, she was pregnant. She either committed suicide and jumped in the river, or she stayed out there after he claimed he left her at the river and he went back home and didn't tell anybody for 3 days that she was there because he was lying the whole time. But, we already know all that. But they said she either got hypothermia, got disoriented, and then fell into the water. So either she jumped in the water because she was stressed and wanted to kill herself, or either she froze, got hypothermia, and then fell, like tripped or walked into the Missouri River. That's what they try to make the jury believe. So compared to the prosecuting closing arguments and compared to the defense closing argument, the prosecutor slayed it. And then he tried to say, there's nobody. You can't convict him for being a jerk. You can't convict him for not having morals. You can't convict him because he made a bad judgment and left her at the water in the middle of the night in December with no coat, no warm clothes, nothing. You can't convict him for being a jerk. That's what they was telling the prosecutors. I mean the jury. So after the defense finished their closing arguments, the prosecutors, they can come back. So after when the prosecutors give their closing arguments, after they're done, then the defense can give their closing arguments. After they're done, the judge allows the prosecutor, if they want, to come back and rebuttal what the defense just told the jury. So he took that offer, as he should, because the last thing that the defense had said to the jury was basically you can't charge him with murder or can't find him guilty of murder because he made a bad judgment. So that, that was kind of a heavy thing that they had said it, especially the way he said it, to the jury. So the prosecutors came back, they rebuttal the defense's closing arguments. And when he came back, he slayed it again. It was only like a few minutes because the judge gave him 15 minutes to rebuttal. He slayed it again. He came back and basically what he told them was Keadle had no intentions of Ty ever coming back from the Missouri River. When he first picked her up and he realized how drunk she was or how intoxicated he was, when she jumped in his car and begged him to take her to Omaha, he already had the wheel spinning in his head. That this girl is drunk. She's intoxicated. I'm going to take her down to this Missouri River, never to return, have my way with her, and I'm going to tell everybody who asks that she wants to go to Omaha. Maybe she made her way to Omaha, maybe she didn't. That's basically what he's saying, that his whole goal, his whole plan was to take her down to this river and never have her be seen again. And that's basically what happened. He took her down to the river. We believe he raped her or tried to rape her. She claimed that she was going to press charges on him for trying to rape her, and we believe he threw her in that water. And at the text messages to her friends that were back to back to back, even though she was so drunk, they said she was stumbling, and they had her on camera, security cameras at the college. She was stumbling. You know, she was intoxicated. She couldn't figure out even how to use her phone. She even had to ask him to put the PIN number in to open up her phone because she couldn't even use her phone. But then we were supposed to believe that she was able to text all these friends from the river saying, I'm lost and I'm trying to find myself. And he just left her there at the water. And he don't know what happened. I don't know what happened to her after that. I left her at the Missouri River at 1, 2 in the morning with no coat, no hat, no scarf, no gloves, just jeans and a t-shirt. I just left her there. He never had any intention to bring her back from the Missouri River. And then what sealed the deal for me in my heart when I first, back in 2010, when I first heard that she was missing, and then found out that he was the last person who was with her, and he claimed he left her there. When all that was in the media, I already knew that he did something to that beautiful Black woman, that beautiful college student from my city, from my hometown. I knew he had did something to that Peru student. But when years later, after that happened, and then he was in Fremont, and he got charged with sexual assault over a 15-year-old, an intoxicated 15-year-old who had got intoxicated and went in her own room, in her own space and area, and went to sleep, and she woke up with him raping her. That just sealed it. That just sealed it for me. Like, yeah, that's what he did. That's what he did. And the jury, they couldn't even know about that. The jury couldn't even know about that. Now, if the jury would have known about that, they probably would have found somebody else. And that's the whole reason why. That's another reason why they were very selective with who they had on the jury. They moved the court trial from one city to another city. They wanted to make sure that the jury really didn't have a lot of knowledge of this man. You know what I mean? And they didn't know. They had no idea about the 15-year-old. So it wasn't like they had that and be like, oh yeah, he raped that girl, so he probably did this. They didn't have none of that. They didn't have none of that. And the judge was really strict, like in most murder cases or trials like this. I'm pretty sure it's the same way. The judge was really strict. If you hear anything about the case, if you hear anything in the newspaper, the media, Facebook, YouTube, if you hear anything, you have to report to me immediately. If you know somebody else on the jury heard anything or saw anything or talked about somebody, don't tell nobody else. You come directly to me, the judge. He was really strict about this case. Really strict. So knowing all that, and then knowing the jury coming to the conclusion of guilty, they felt just like me and just like her loved ones, just like her family. The same jury gathered the same impression from what the prosecutors had to say, their closing statements, what the defense had to say, their closing statements. I'm so glad. It was very, very emotional. I showed y'all the film of us in the courtroom when they announced the guilty verdict. It was very emotional. We was crying. We was in tears. And somebody had asked me last night, they said, did they make y'all leave the courtroom? Did they kill the courtroom? Because on the TV, the news story, you see where they announced the guilty verdict. Then the next thing you see is while they still talking, while the judge and them were still talking, the family, us and the family, we was led out of the courtroom. We weren't kicked out. They had told us beforehand, right after they say the verdict, there's a route that we want to take you guys immediately afterwards to not be seen by the media and all that kind of stuff. It was like a back way, a back stairway. So immediately after they said the verdict, they tapped us on the shoulder and said, okay, now let's go. So we walked out, single file, walked out. We walked to a different location. They unlocked a few doors. Oh, it was so big. I was like, this building is a maze. We went to the back, walked up some stairs, ended up in another room, and then to come out, they walked us down some other stairs, and we was out the building. And so, yeah, so that's what happened. We didn't get kicked out. The family didn't get kicked out. The judge had already said beforehand, like most courtrooms, they say, okay, regardless what the verdict is, there would be no outbursts. There would be no screaming, no nothing. Otherwise, you could be kicked out and you could be charged with, disrupting the court. So nobody did any of that. The family, we didn't get kicked out. I didn't get kicked out. The family didn't get kicked out. They told us ahead of time that, the media is going to be, the media was there from everywhere. MSNBC was there, the local TV stations, the Omaha TV stations, everybody was there. Everybody was there. So, wipe my nose. So, that's what I told somebody last night, because on the news story, it just looks like, obviously, we was the only ones leaving the court. Everybody else was there. The courtroom was full. It was packed. And the only people who was walking out while they were still, in session was me and the family. So, yeah. So, if you watched that scene and you thought, oh, they got kicked out the courtroom because they must have done something wrong. No, they let us out early before it ended so we could bypass all the media and so the family can go, because it was very emotional. You saw from the news story that I showed you, when we heard that verdict, we all just immediately started crying, trying to console each other. And then they let us out to a safe area where we could all be in one room and everybody can gather themselves and their thoughts. And it was really emotional. It was really, really emotional. And I'm just so thankful and so happy for the family and for our community that, he was charged with murder. So some people, they had their doubts and they was like, oh, he ain't gonna be charged with murder. There's nobody. They, whoop, 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 whoop. Then there were people like me who for the last 10 years have honestly always believed that he murdered her. And I'm so glad. I can't wait to go back. We're going back out of town April 29th. That's when the judge is going to sentence him. We're hoping for life. He can get 20 to life, but we're hoping life. And we're mainly hoping that because, of course, he killed somebody for no reason. People love this girl. You know what I'm saying? She was a college student. She had a future ahead of her. The family, they did, years ago, they did get a settlement from him. They had, sued him. So they did get billions. They got billions. Not $100,000 settlement, not $1 million settlement. The family was awarded $1 billion settlement. I think it was like 2.4 billion, something like that. Don't quote me on it, but it's something like that. And it's in the billions. Will that ever be paid? Of course not. It'll never be paid. But still, to be granted a $2-something billion lawsuit, to have that, approved by the courts, and then have this man that you knew murdered your child found guilty of second-degree murder. It's some closure. Now, it's not total closure. I don't think the family and her loved ones will have total closure ever, because of the fact we don't know step by step what happened to Ty. Now, we always believe that he tried to rape her, or he did rape her, and then he threw her in the Missouri River. His story is she threatened to say he was trying to rape her if he won't take her to Omaha. That's his story. Now, again, we know that he either raped her or he tried, and then she threatened to report him. And then he threw her in the Missouri River. Not from what he's saying, I just left her out there and drove off. She threatened to press rape charges on me, so I just left her in the middle of nowhere at the Missouri River, and 2:00 in the morning in the dead of December in the winter, I just left her. We knew that wasn't true. But anyway, he was found guilty. They were awarded billions of dollars in a settlement. Now we just, hoping that he gets life. The reason why I hope he gets life, and I'm sure the family probably agrees, is because of the fact that he killed Ty, of course. Also because of the fact that he was already in the middle of during the trial, during the 3-week trial, he was serving a 10 to 15 year sentence for sexual assault on a 15-year-old girl. So if he would not have been found guilty, his time for that 10 to 15 bid was coming close to an end. He could get out next year in 2021 or in 2022 because he had to serve 10 to 15. So he was on his way out of the system if he would have been found innocent. So we were praying again that he was found guilty because of the fact he could be facing 20 to life and he could never walk the streets again. That's what we were hoping. And we got that guilty verdict. So hopefully, instead of giving him 20 years or 25 or anything like that, with, you know, a possibility of him being back on the streets, hopefully they'll get him life. Because at this time, I think he's like 40. I think he's like 40 years old, 39, 40, something like that. And at this time, if he gets out in like 20-something years, he'll be like 60, 70. He do not deserve to walk these streets at all. At all. So I'm hoping they give him life. So on April 29th, we going back out of town. We going back to Beatrice, Nebraska. We going to sit during the sentencing trial. And again, hopefully he'll get life. That's what I'm hoping. He'll get life. So you guys, that's the end of my review on my thoughts and my experience on the Joshua Keadle murder trial and the guilty verdict for the murder of Tyler Ty Thomas. That is my thoughts and my experience of the Joshua Keadle murder trial. My experience, you know, from what I saw firsthand in court, listen to all the testimonies and witnesses and listen to all the audio recordings of them interviewing him at the beginning when she first went missing, up until experiencing what it felt like to hear them say guilty of second-degree murder. That is my thoughts, my opinions, my experience, my feelings on this murder trial and the guilty verdict. Tyler Ty Thomas, up here, may you forever, my beautiful Black queen. May you forever rest in peace, rest in heaven. I'm sure she is super proud of her parents, her family, for fighting for her. Like, can you imagine being murdered? And I do believe life after death. I do believe in life after death. I do believe people go one place or they go the other. I do believe that. This young woman, I believe that her spirit is what helped, because Ty was a very outgoing, fun-loving person. I believe her spirit lingers on down here. I believe she's an angel for her family and friends. And I believe without her spirit, that her family might have not been able to fight so much. Without their faith in God, without her spirit, without their love for her, without their, you know, it's a lot to go through something like this. And again, I could never totally imagine what they're going through or what any family goes through with a murdered loved one. But for you to have people constantly saying, he didn't kill her. Oh, your daughter's just depressed and she's got mental issues. She done committed suicide somewhere. Just to hear that, and you know, and then you fight and the body never turns up. So a lot of people would feel like, oh, you know, he'll never be found guilty. It's a wrap. You know, our daughter, you know, she'll never find justice. Our loved one will never find justice. You know, a lot of people would give up. You know, just give up. But they kept fighting and fighting. The prosecuting attorneys, they kept fighting and fighting till they, you know, got enough where they think they could take it to trial and they think they could get a guilty verdict. And that's what they did. So I know Tyler Ty Thomas is up there looking down on her family, looking down on the prosecuting team and everything in her community and saying, thank you. She can finally rest in peace. She can finally rest in peace because the person who murdered her is now going to be possibly locked up for the rest of his life instead of getting out, getting out and walking these streets again after serving 10 to 15 years for a sexual assault against another young woman. He will not be getting out at the end of that 10 to 15 year sentence. He will not be getting out. And I'm sure he was thinking, oh, we ain't got no issues. I'm walking away from this murder trial. After I finish this 10, 15 year bid, I'm going home back to my family, back to my friends. I'm about to be on the streets again. I know that's what he was thinking during this whole entire experience. His face, when they said guilty, his face, man, you just had to be there. His face was like, how did they find me guilty and they didn't have a body? Remember, this is the last thing and I'm going to wrap it up. Remember, for those of you who might not have been following me or might not have been watching, for those of you who might not have been following or might not have been watching my reviews over the last, few weeks about this trial, there was a witness who had came forward because he's, again, he's serving right now 10 to 15 years for a rape. So there's a guy, one of the jailmates, he had actually testified. He had contacted police and he had testified and he told them that while they was in jail, while he was in jail with Joshua Keadle, one second, let me okay, Corey Pfeiffer. While he was in jail with Joshua Keadle, he testified that Joshua had told him that I killed some black girl from Omaha and I killed her and threw her in the Missouri River, and I will never be convicted of that because they will never find her body. Now the prosecutors was like, oh, he just telling that story because they must have offered him or something, but he swore on oath, under oath, that they only offered him gas money to get to the courthouse from where he lived. And the prosecutors try to convince the jury not to believe him because he also, was a meth head. They said, we don't know if he still is a meth head, but back in the day, he was a meth head. And on top of that, he testified 7 years too late. Why did he come forward when he first come out? But according to Corey, and I can see it, if somebody told you in prison, right? You in prison, you in a big house. You coming in there, you have to try to make people feel like you hard, like you tough, like you macho, like you in prison. So you have to have this personal, you know what I'm saying? And I have a feeling that he probably gave them that story to make it seem like he's this tough big guy or something like that. He's in prison. And I think the jailmate was probably like, this fool lying. He just trying to tell us this because he wants to think that he about something or he about that life or he, people in jail, they boastful. They like to tell stories of the things that they did because they seeking some kind of acceptance, like, with specific people in prison or specific crews in prison or groups or gangs or whatever. So I'm sure that's probably why he told him. But that Corey Pfeiffer was probably like, man, ain't no way you did that. You killed some black girl. You did this. You raped her and you threw her in the river? Nah, that ain't happened. So later, when the trial came up, the guy heard about the trial. He heard the man was being charged with murder. That's when he came forward. He said, yeah, he told me he did it. They didn't offer him nothing. All they offered him was gas money to get to court. They didn't offer him nothing. So the prosecuting team, the defense team, they try to convince the jury that the man was doing it for something. He came out late with his story, so that didn't work against the jury either. That didn't work at all. They obviously believed he was guilty of killing Tyler Ty Thomas, and it is what it is now. So again, you guys, I want to thank everybody for tuning in, to listen to my reviews, to support the family, the people in Omaha and beyond. For I know I done seen all kind of comments, all kind of comments on Facebook, on YouTube. People saying they're praying, they're keeping the family, in prayer, and hoping for the best outcome. So everybody who has prayed and supported, whether you prayed, whether you gave comfort and consoled the family, whether you gave money to their cash app when we was raising money for them to be able to stay out of town at the hotel instead of driving back and forth doing the trial. I want to thank everybody. I know the family really appreciate it. I know they do. Firsthand, I know they do appreciate everything that the community and everybody has done for them, while they traveled down this very hard, difficult, bumpy road to that guilty of second-degree murder sentence. So with that being said, everybody, don't forget to like and share this video. Also, if you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And after you subscribe, make sure you hit the notification bell so you can know when I'm going live or know when I'm uploading a new video. And on that note, in the meantime and in between time, Primetime Squad and the Hood Table Squad, stay safe, be blessed, and I'm out. Deuces.